Quinn and Rose Show from the War Room. I'm Scott Baker filling in for Quinn and Rose. Can we, okay, cut music, stop. Can we cancel this segment? Is she already on the line? I'm talking to Stacy, the producer. I just have been informed that EIC Cupp is a Green Bay Packers fan. Could that possibly be true? She's on the phone with us now. Essie, how are you?
Well, the rumors you've heard are correct.
Goodness. I'm sorry. That's all the time we have. Hey, thanks for talking to us this morning. Scott Baker again with you here, editor of theblaze.com, and people here in Pittsburgh remember from many years on the ABC station here. And EIC Cupp, they know from not many people know this, but the FCC mandates that each cable news network have you on 3 times a week. Is that it?
I don't know. Is that true?
It seems like it. You're on everywhere. I flip a channel, and there you are on another cable news show. Or they know you from you're writing at the New York Daily News, and you've written for the Daily Caller, and now you'll be writing a lot for the Blaze and for all kinds of things. And you have a new show coming up in the Glenn Beck Enterprise, and I want to get to that. But congratulations on the Packers win, and I'll just try.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a happy day at the Cupp House yesterday. Very excited.
All right. Let me ask you this before we dive into the new show. You have a post that's on the Blaze blog. If you just go to theblaze.com and then hit the thing that says blog, and then you'll see EIC Cupp's a column on Obama and Egypt, and I've gone through 2.5 hours of the radio show yet, not really been able to tackle Egypt and wrap us around. So you've tackled this issue of whether Egypt was really Obama's to lose. Was it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, if you're going to lose something, you have to have ownership in it, and ownership requires making some demands. And unfortunately, Obama has treated the whole of the Middle East with kid gloves. And he hasn't owned anything. He hasn't asked them anything. He hasn't required anything of them, unless, of course, you're Israel, and then all bets are off. So I'm not really sure what he has invested in the future of Egypt's democracy and freedom and stability. Who has owned the Middle East and Egypt explicitly is the UN. The UN Human Rights Commission and Human Rights Council since 1946 have gone into other countries and investigated their human rights abuses, and they've issued resolutions and made demands. They've made no demands of Egypt.
Nothing.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was saying, and nothing. There's been Zippo.
Absolutely nothing, and everyone knows, including people in Egypt, that there are some significant human rights issues in that country, and we've let Mubarak sort of glide by over the past 30 years, and the UN has let Egypt glide by. So it's really the abomination is on behalf of the UN, I think, and I'm not saying that Obama has absolutely nothing to lose here. He does. It's in all of our interests for the Middle East to be stable and for Egypt to be democratic. But unfortunately, he hasn't, I think, had the temerity to ask anything of Middle Eastern Muslim countries where he'd really be putting himself on the line.
We're talking with EIC Cupp. Scott Baker with you here on the Quinn and Rose Show, and the number is 800-507-1047. Essie, not only from her many appearances on cable news, but from her books, You're Wrong About the Right and Losing Our Religion, the Liberal Media's Attack on Christianity. But we're excited in the 9 months since I've been at Mercury Radio Arts and been part of the launch of theblaze.com. I've been most impressed, especially since it was actually, it's funny, it's 3 years ago in this very radio studio where I'm sitting, where on the BCast webcast that I do, we interviewed Glenn Beck live. And at the end of that 45-minute broadcast, he said, "So when's this going to be posted?" And I said, "It's live. It was just on." He goes, "You can go live on the internet?" And I've reminded him recently about how odd that was. It just 3 years ago we did that, and now part of the Mercury operation is Insider Extreme, the subscription part of GlennBeck.com, where you can not only watch the 5-camera shoot of the radio show, but monthly documentaries and specials and live events, and then the 4th hour with Pat Gray and Stu Bergier that's right after Glenn show. And now this week, launching tomorrow, will be a 5th hour show with S.E. Cupp called the S.E. Cupp Show. So so I know you're getting set for all of this, and I know you've got a lot of plans. But what will the show? What will it be?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a little different. It's an hour daily show, and it's part politics because that's the world I live in.
It is.
But it's also, I mean, it's kind of like a rodeo. I mean, I get to talk about all the things that I really like hunting and fishing and NASCAR
and most people, and a lot of people don't know that you're a ballet dancer too. So you're the gun-toting race car ballet dancer. This is a very odd mix.
I was when I was younger, a ballet dancer. So yeah, I have sort of an unexpected, I guess, evolution, but it's really just going to be a lot of fun. And coming this week, we have a great interview with Michael Waltrip about that infamous day in 2001 when Dale Earnhardt died on the racetrack at Daytona. We've got interviews with comedian Jim Norton. I go to the Beer and Bourbon Festival here in New York City and bring everyone with me. So there's just
wait, where was I that day? What?
Yeah, I know. I didn't tell you, but
right.
Next time. And then at the end of the week, we go down to CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee conference that's held every year in Washington D.C., and we're doing 2 live shows from CPAC. So I'll be schmoozing with all of the usual suspects, politicos and media people, and should be really fun, sort of behind the scenes look at what goes on there every year.
And this is it sounds like it's a way, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but that you're kind of looking at a way of looking at conservatism that doesn't quite fit necessarily the normal image, the normal boundaries. I mean, even bringing in like a comedian like Jim Norton, who's a big part of the Opie and Anthony radio show. It's like, we don't necessarily have to agree on everything, but there are some common sort of sensibilities at work across a lot of these areas. Is that it?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And sort of the idea that, I mean, for conservatism is sort of a partial life philosophy. It is not your whole. I mean, most conservatives, I think, would say, faith, family. There's other things than politics guiding your day-to-day life, and so I want the show to be to reflect that. I have other interests, and I think other people do too. And talking about politics is fun, and it's important, but. I mean, today, for instance, if we were launching today, we'd spend a good time talking about how my Packers just won the Super Bowl.
Okay, thank you. We're out of time now. I'm sorry. What?
I mean, we want to talk about life. We want to talk about popular culture. We want to talk about sports. We want to talk about the big stories. And I'm just going to go in and talk about the things that interest me because I think that most people find them interesting too.
And are you really going to drag Glenn Beck to a car race?
I'm going to try. I mean, he's been saying that he wants to go to a NASCAR race. I don't know what's stopping him. He's using this really lame excuse of them not having adequate security, which is hooey. I mean, presidents go to NASCAR races. I'm sure they could accommodate Uncle Glenn.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna make it happen, but it really should not be a problem.
And can I throw out another idea for the SC Cupp show? What about if, especially because I know that'll be a great episode, taking Glenn to NASCAR. And you mentioned you've got an interview coming up with Jim Norton. For those who remember Opie and Anthony when they were on terrestrial radio and were aired popular in Pittsburgh, and now hear them on Sirius XM. Anthony Cumia, kind of a conservative guy, a gun guy. Yeah. What about Glenn Beck and Anthony Cumia go to the gun range?
Oh, I love that. If I can go too, I mean.
Right. Yes. Right. I think the three of you. I think that's internet magic.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm a huge gun. I shoot guns. I go hunting. I'm a Second Amendment junkie. So I'd love to go to Cumia's compound and shoot at some targets with Glenn. I think that'd be really fun.
Well, in just another minute before we let you go, I think you're going to be a great addition, obviously, to the Mercury Radio family, and I think you'll bring a lot of insight from your perspective, and even you've written powerfully about faith. and from a position of even being kind of outside of a belief system yourself in a way. And I posted a column that you wrote recently about your father's sort of faith journey, and this is a really interesting thing I think for people about how in your book Losing Our Religion, the liberal media's attack on Christianity. Give us a sense of where you see sort of faith, conviction, and politics going in this country.
Well, I think faith in this country is everything. I mean, despite the secular left telling us on a daily basis that God is out of fashion, I mean, it's still a very religious country. It's a religious world. I mean, the planet is 95%, people who have a belief in a higher power. Our country in particular is 80% Christian. So I think it's clear that faith guides our daily lives in a big respect. When you have an institution like the media telling us that 80% of the population, their values are stupid, they're backwards, they're dangerous, they're fanatics, I think that's a real breach of trust, and I think it's really irresponsible. And when the political left echoes that sentiment, I think we deserve better dialogue on something that is clearly incredibly important to a lot of people. And I say this as an atheist. I have a huge respect for the religious community. I have a huge respect for American Christianity, and I feel compelled to defend it, which is odd, but I do.
And I read that you've said that you aspire to be a person of faith one day. What does that mean?
I do. I mean, faith is not a gift I have, but it doesn't mean that I don't want it. And I got a master's in religious studies. I study faith, at every opportunity I can. I'm really envious of the faithful. It sounds really great, but I can't wrap my head around it yet. And hopefully one day I will. I mean, I haven't had kids yet. I haven't really invested in life's big moments. I haven't lost a loved one. So I'm not sure if any of that will have an effect, but I'm open. I am not a militant atheist. I'm just someone who does not yet believe.
No, interesting and thought-provoking, and we are all to grapple with these things. I sat at my grandmother's bed in a hospice yesterday for most of the afternoon, and there are big questions that we all need to deal with. The thought-provoking EIC Cupp, her new show, launches on Insider Extreme on glennbeck.com tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can see her popping up from time to time on The Blaze as well. But we look forward to the show, EIC. Thank you.
Hey, thanks. I'll see you around the office.
Indeed. Scott Baker in for Quinn and Rose on the War Room, and we'll try to get to some of your calls and some final thoughts in this hour. 800-507-1047. Back in a minute.